The Brooklyn Nets are falling apart before our very eyes, and we have to break this down because obviously, amid this being pretty funny, it also does have a huge effect on the Mikal Bridges to the Knicks agenda, and we're going to continue to push it at Knicks Digest until it comes true. So let's break this down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do. The Brooklyn Nets, as you know today, they fired head coach Jacque Vaughn. Several players had lost confidence in Vaughn amid the Nets' struggles. Some within the Nets had concerns that Vaughn could hinder their chances at landing a top player, SNY sources say. Now, here's the deal. I don't know who the Nets think they were landing, who that star that's going to go to the Brooklyn Nets is. It seems like no one wants to be on that team, Mikal Bridges especially. And the Nets don't really have too many selling points. Hey, you want to come to a team that virtually has no fans because we built an arena in the same city as the New York Knicks, and the Knicks captivate the entire city of New York when they're good, meaning that our only hope is that we happen to be good when the Knicks are good, except last time that happened, we got a bunch of star players, gave up all of our assets for it, all of them got injured, all of them got weird, all of them requested trades, all of them are gone. You want to come to that team that's under the same management as of right now? Because I don't think anyone does. Truly. I don't think any star would want to go there. Mikal Bridges is your best selling point on someone who you're going to play with. Who's their second best player realistically now? Claxton's great. He's a great rim protector, but no one's coming to a team to play with Nick Claxton. And outside of that, you got Cam Thomas. No one really wants to go play with the ball hog who plays no defense. That's pretty much international that no one wants to play with that guy. Whoever that is. Not Cam Thomas especially. I mean any player who plays like that. No one's chomping at the bit to start playing with that guy. The type of player who's not going to defend, who you're going to have to pick up the defensive slack for, the guy who's not going to pass the ball and shoot bad shots a lot of the time. You're going to want to play with that? The Nets have no bargaining chips, so I don't understand why that's an issue, but it is. Ian Begley mentions that including some players losing confidence in the coach mid-team struggles, there was also some internal concern about impact on attracting star players, and the logical assumption is that the front office could be next for some changes if the Nets don't turn this season around, meaning Sean Marks, the Nets GM or president, whatever the hell he is in jeopardy of losing his job. He's had the job for a while, and when the Nets were bad, he did a great job on turning them around. He made a lot of smart moves. He got them back to a land of mediocrity, but also with their draft picks. There was a good sign. They were led by a young, exciting player in D'Angelo Russell in a time when the New York Knicks were on their way to a 17-65 season. The Nets captured the heart of a lot of New York basketball fans and basketball fans in general. They had Theo Pinson on the sideline getting sturdy. It was a fun team to root for if you were a Brooklyn Nets fan. Since then, the Nets have just really done what should have worked in signing those guys, but it didn't. They got injured, and they probably would have won in 2021 if we're being honest, but they didn't win. And then Kyrie kept being weird. James Harden demanded a trade pretty quietly, and shout out to James Harden for demanding a trade quietly for once, although it still obviously got out because it's a star player demanding a trade right after he demanded a trade before. Who knew that would become a pattern with him? It did. Is what it is. And then Kevin Durant, seeing all the craziness, rightfully so, requested a trade and then rescinded it to be loyal to the Brooklyn Nets, new for KD. Then requested one again, and it really wasn't KD's fault at all because the Nets were a disaster. It's going to be hard to come back from that when you're Sean Marks. When you beat the New York Knicks to the punch for the star players, it is hard to bounce back from that when it failed so miserably. When now you're hanging on to Mikal Bridges, you're looking at a team that's 21-33, that's going into the second half of the season 2.5 games out of the play-in, hoping to God you can make that team so you can attract some star because you don't even have your own draft picks to work with. The years that you actually have a first-round pick, it is the years that you're swapping with the Houston Rockets, who lo and behold are becoming better and better. One of the reasons they're becoming better is so those Nets picks go up in value. That is part of their plan, and it's working because they're drafting well. They drafted Amen Thompson, who's been awesome. Alperen Şengün is completely broken out and was sort of an all-star snub. There have been some good guys on the Rockets. Their front office is doing a good job. They hired Ime Udoka, who should have been your coach, Nets fans. But the Nets screwed all of that up. And now they're screwed. And Mikal Bridges isn't thrilled. As you could look, there was like sort of an interview about this Mikal Bridges was pretty vocal behind the scenes about Jacque Vaughn's offensive scheme. Vaughn's offense heading into the season was planned to be primarily built around Ben Simmons, who had played in 12 games this season. Now, look, on one side, I understand where Jacque Vaughn's coming from. Call me crazy, but I do. In theory, Ben Simmons should be able to bounce back and still be a solid player. He's putting up like 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. I don't think he'll ever do it for some reason. Maybe he doesn't want to. I don't know. Maybe it's his back. Who cares? He couldn't do that. And Jacque Vaughn failed Mikal Bridges by not trying to build an offense around him right after Mikal broke out and averaged 25 points per game after he got traded to the Nets that season. This season, he's regressed back to 21 points per game. Part of that is the fact that teams know that he's the main focal point on that team for scoring, so now they're going to guard him like he's the first option well, that's because he is the first option, honestly. Again, Cam Thomas, solid player for sure. Not trying to hate on him, but they're looking at Mikal Bridges as the first option of that team, and they're game planning around making Mikal Bridges struggle to score the basketball, as when the Nets don't get output from Mikal, they need it from the rest of the team, and that doesn't always happen, which is part of the reason why they're 21-33. I don't think Jacque Vaughn was a great coach. I've heard from Nets fans that I know that Jacque Vaughn did not make adjustments, that he had a weird offensive scheme, that it was very freelance, and that it was way too similar to the same problems that Steve Nash had as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets when the Stars were there. And that's concerning because Steve Nash, everyone kind of felt like, oh, he's there to do nothing. They don't want to coach. Jacque Vaughn, if you're doing what Steve Nash is doing, that's a problem, especially because Vaughn had been in the organization for a long time. He saw different coaches, whether it was Atkinson, whether it was Steve Nash. He was there for like 7-8 years before he became the head coach. He should have known better. He should have known what his former coaches did wrong, and he didn't. And he failed them. And Mikal Bridges, as Ian Begley puts it, from his answer here after Brooklyn's loss to Boston, Brooklyn played Boston twice before the All-Star break, it was clear that Mikal Bridges was frustrated with the offense. Worth noting that Spencer Dinwiddie also advocated in a non-confrontational talk with Vaughn at the start of the year for clearer definition of roles and hierarchy. So Vaughn, again, played this freelance offense. I was like, yeah, whoever can score, go do it. And that's why we've seen the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of different leading scorers in games, whether it's Cam Thomas, whether it's Mikal. It's usually one of those two. But also we've seen Lonnie Walker look like a first option. There hasn't been a clear first option for the Brooklyn Nets when there is a clear first and second option in Bridges and Thomas. Is it the greatest 1-2 punch ever? No, it's far from it. But it's a start, and you need to start making the play-in. And now the New York Knicks just have all the chance in the world to steal Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets because of this. Mikal Bridges was obviously on the Roommates podcast. We saw the whole thing with Josh Hart just take the Knicks sweatshirt on, and that is so important just because he's just tampering in public. That means it happens behind the scenes all the time, that Josh Hart's basically just telling Mikal, bro, come to the Knicks. Yeah, come to the Knicks, dude. Dude, Knicks, come on, it's time. Like, obviously, Mikal can't fully control it because he can request a trade and specify that he wants to be traded to the Knicks. The Nets don't have to do that. So that gives the Nets some real problems. But also, the Knicks are the only team in the NBA most likely that will be paying higher than market value for Mikal Bridges. And that is the important part that we have to look at here, is that the Knicks will absolutely do that. And no other team will. And the Knicks could give up to 5 first-round picks for Mikal, honestly. I could see it. Bogdanovich opt into his contract. You have the same amount of money there between him and Bridges. You give 5 picks, say a few are unprotected, maybe a swap in there, maybe 2 unprotected, 2 protected, and a pick swap. And Bojan Bogdanovich, you don't even have to give that much. That's a vast overpay. But the Knicks can afford to do that and still make a move for another good player. They have that amount of assets. That is the truth with the Knicks. They can afford to overpay for Mikal Bridges, who would make the team exponentially better because now you get the best defensive wing duo in the NBA and arguably one of the best defensive wing duos of all time in Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. With Mitchell Robinson there at center, that Knicks defense is elite. Julius Randle is not a bad defender at all when he plays defense. Jalen Brunson works really hard on the defensive end and isn't bad. The Knicks could be an elite defense with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle at the helm running this offense. It could totally work out so well for the New York Knicks. It could totally help them become just one of the best teams in the NBA more than they already are. It would just solidify a lot for the Knicks. It gives you a true third scoring option after Brunson 1 and Randall 2. You get Mikal Bridges as your clear third option. It can kind of be a mix between him and Anunoby. Having them in the corners and on the wings would be huge. They don't demand a big offensive role, but they can take one on. They've both shown that when they get more opportunities, they have more than we are seeing from them. And that is so huge for the New York Knicks, because you'll get a team that's going to work as a team to start. We've seen the Knicks do that this year already. They would still do it if they had Mikal Bridges, maybe even more because of Mikal's rapport with half the Knicks. In reality, it's the three of them. It's Brunson, Hart, DiVincenzo, and then obviously Ryan Arcidiacono when he signs in the summer again. But I really want to see this happen, and I think the Knicks can make it work. Look, I know the Knicks have not made a trade with the Nets since 1983. I'm aware of that. But now is the chance. Sean Marks needs to do something. Whether it's rebuild, whether it's something, he has to do something. The Nets are stuck in the middle. They're not getting out of it. They're not signing a star, and they're not getting worse. The way out is you dig. You dig down, accept the fact that you're going to be underground for a while, but you have a ton of assets. You'll have cap space. You'll be able to do something with it eventually. You're just going to have to suffer for a few years because this is not going to work, and it's never going to work because they don't have enough assets to save this team. And that is going to help the New York Knicks land Mikal Bridges when the Nets accept that they're going to have to tank, and then the Knicks call them up and give them a better trade package than any team in the league, and Sean Marks has his back against the wall, realizing he could lose his job. He's taking that offer with the New York Knicks. Guaranteed. Comment down below if you agree. Have a great day. Like the video. Subscribe to Knicks Digest. Means the world to us. And go Knicks.